밀럼기 땀 시체 송고도 아니 다디 야가르게도 아니 가서 온다 삼번 전다 밭 번니 거리가 다스 제치도가 다 같이 밀럼기 신긴도 땀 시체 다디 된저 센트 안테네 쇼주되야 아니 군조 좀 차서로 세지도 되냐 독도 주송자
And so I got straight into the text this morning, sorry, and the name of the text in Sanskrit is Swapna Chintamani Parikata, or in Tibetan Milam Yishi Novagidam, in English, the tale of a wish-fulfilling dream. And this is the stating the name of the text that we're going to study today, and it says, firstly, I bow to the three jewels.
되네 관시 또 배치는 밀람 따르스 창주 선번 남래 릭니에 편지 심진 거와 것이니 기군 남론 dom버 체가 인스제다 된주기 민 토단도 밀람 따르세 송야디 고 가서래 저저 아니 가르치는 밀람 땀세 송야디 대송고도 저장가 남규천한조 히브리께 나로리 총송 세야들 라부리를 말해
Sorry, it's a little bit difficult. There's a problem with the sound. But first of all, I'll read the first verse, which is the first verse of the text, which is to state what this the content or the what the text is going to discuss. And so the text reads in the first verse, since it is that which they achieve, it is like a dream. Bodhisattvas accomplish that aspect in order to benefit samsaric beings. I will teach a few methods for growing fond of sentient beings. So this is really just stating exactly what the text is about and what the content of the verse will be. So that's what the content of the text will be. So that's the first verse. There was a piece that Rinpoche said, but the sound would cut out.
Like a dream, so wonderful. So these particularly way of describing, normally if something that we have a kind of high expectation and then you feel like it happened for real and you don't expect this much, but it happened so well. And then you go, oh, it's just a dream, like a dream. Like for us, we might have something else to say it in this way, but for the Bodhisattvas, when they hear about the the kindness of the sentient beings and how to repay the kindness of the sentient beings. And automatically that really, it is the one of the only way to connect with Buddha. And then they feel like this is like a dream, that I'm so fortunate to practice, to listen, to hear this in this life, which lots of we make a complaint, but here Buddha is giving this kind of antidote. To me, it's like a miracle, it's like a dream. So it has this kind of connotations of that. 어디지? 왜냐면 다지네 디나로르단 인가 치슈지 갈도스라비 나 스제디 나로르야 간시 똑배치 나세디 내가 청주요 마도지기 안베 산지 디송도 안 디송베 연장 짜창을 스팀제 와 아주 디나로르야 제선 하이라이트 최고의 지카르잖아 간시 똑배치나 간시지 란주야샤지 미 간시 지기 아니 딘지기 퇴사고 또베이나 아니 딘밀럼 나브레스 디 딘지 술녀브레스라나 베도데 전주 셈벌 녀샤스 아야 딘지 니도 아야 전주 셈벨라가 하나 두도 세티 디 최티 깨지라도 봐 로데 인도점베 딱 또베 드셔들이야 안체상가 다 지단에 된다 뭐도 다 단다 밀럼 따르세야 되기 삼로당연데 제가 계산 쉬우네신 고 자와도 손에 제베도 잡아야 알아서 직삼로당지 직 라네 마디게 개도 고슝 고 커도디 믹스 디레세야 개요 말봐 제가 강시 또베 치는 밀럼 따르세도 밀럼 세야 된 남샤 균둔 다다디 가보시고 준비 깨졌지가 고래대 다야 강시 떡배 치나 송도 준비 딘지지게 된다디 콩도 취비 로로 취비 가봐야 엔밀람나 신지기도 세대 땅안 주기 아니 남셔준도 가서 그래 밀람디 배디 가서 그래 주미 배야 참참 잘 봐. 제가 디커도를 전주 세바이네레 셈진 컨디치네레 아니 그냥 알아주다고 차셔. 간이 리손도 지도 시제백 되는 샤이도 타디다 되네 타야지 왜냐면 다 디간이디 배시 왜 청부지도 삼도 전에 안티 세사비오레 디차랑 시코랑 되면에 간이스리 청부시고 차오케 말이 띵아랑 저거 삼로 땅단 지기 노르치 출치 않고 갈래가고지 차오레스 시파종으로 딘디지 코랑도면에 딘디지 요말에 딘디란 이름도 지치래 유먼도 지래샤 세운도 전배 안에 딘디지 삼로코에도 전배 안에 셈진이 되는 제도 살아야지 제주 셈벌은 딘 아주 맞습니다 예수 약속이 되기도 와 세상과 전주 셈벌 남래 가리니에버레 세주 선배 안에 셈진이 되는 제발라 아니 최탐지기 니루 지머지시 간대지 바 하고와 텔라 때네 아니 랑래 예수치테 랑래 예수테바 데리 아니 샹라야 데지 예수 안 셈소 데지 쩨토나 지머로 네베 아니 스탄지기 다 아주 지스디 연대로 고추고 사변로 고추고 어디지 네버레스나 야고도 우선상지
rinpoche kanshik saya dila kansa la di
kansa kanshi jigi andi tobi nas
and so looking at if we look a little bit more deeply into this first verse, so then if we look at particularly what we have to do is not just to sort of, as always, not to just accept things because the Buddha or the great masters said that they're wonderful or important, but to really find out what the important highlights are of the things that we're studying. So here I think the important thing to highlight in this first verse is when it says, since it is that which they achieve, it is like a dream. Or I think in Tibetan it says kanshik, and that actually refers to whatever, it could be better, maybe clear, translated as whoever has a realization or understanding will see things as if they were like a dream. So that means that whoever has this word kanshik is actually reflecting back on the person who's reading the text, and also to people in general. It refers back to a person who wishes to practice. Whoever understands, comes to understand the profound nature, will see things as they are in a dream, as if they are a dream. And so in the second line, then it says that bodhisattvas accomplish that aspect. But so what it's saying is that the bodhisattvas have found this out. The bodhisattvas have discovered this and understood this. And since we wish to be like the bodhisattvas, then this is a kind of advice to us about how we should proceed. So in order to become as the bodhisattva, to practice in the way the bodhisattvas practice. So when we talk about dreams, sometimes it sounds a very kind of exciting kind of topic, but there are many meanings which are ascribed to when we talk about something being like a dream, and particularly in Buddhist literature, where we talk about things being like a dream. So as I mentioned yesterday, we haven't really found a commentary on this particular text. And so I don't think there is a problem for me, perhaps for people and myself in this case, to offer up some ideas about what the meaning of the text might be. So again, it goes back to this idea that things are seen as like a dream, or become like a dream, seen as becoming like a dream to us whenever we have understanding. Now, dreams in the Buddhist literature are often used to indicate something which is kind of false. It doesn't exist in the way it appears. And so we can also take this we can take this to mean that when we reference it in terms of ourselves, that we can think about this, so something is false. So what that implies is that if we had understanding that there's a falsity about the way that we see things, the mistaken way of looking at things, and if we could understand that, we could relieve ourselves from many of our difficulties.
다 지금 란솔이야 까님 수수수 깨져지지 개수수 깨져지지 알 까님 치슈 가리지도 스타나 다 지단에야 치료네 직도도 세지어레데 이나야 섬에 호주단 까니르지 체용에 들어 딱부 잡지 쉬우지 자침부 면에 고 자침도 하고 집쇼 지금 진이어야 진버디 단 짐바디 임바데 수수고 녀와라 카고르인데 좀 다티 패션 미창말로 찍자 미창말로 이게 야고 진념도 대베이나 타만데 간에 되냐데 나도 집에 등지 임바데 다 세우시우지 라트 투베치 제정가 산지 좀 된 되게 아니 디 송버로 봐 추궁 지리 시동 단답도 산지 좀 된 되게 다 지금 전주 선배 되는 점도 취 송버 이내리 년도의 란지기 되는 점도 취 송버 다 간지 취 카드 송버다 탐지 밥사 과학관로 버구요 슬라비나 조 다음에 봐 통해 쳐도 아니 얘기 취 송구요 송다시 딩아란 쪽에다 아주 마선에 rāng kīpū chū yōng yā lā yāng dī kō chē tō bā chū kōg yō rē shēn jī kī dēwā lā yā kō bā lā yāng dī jī kī ngā zū mā sōng nē tā dī kā sō rē zimbā dī lhē rō chī tāng tō bā tāng zimbā dī nyōng rō tāng tō bā zimbā dī tā tsā wā nē mē bā sō tō nā rā yā shō rē dī rē jī lā tā ngō yā ngā rāng zū yō tā shū dā gō sē sām rō dī chōng bā yī na anī dī yāng tānda chān chū sē bā lā yā 밀럼 따고 총송스 다 이마 체징 알라송 세직 삼로된데디 전주 셈발로 코르고 요르세 장마임바 마란 줄레 영화제 중서봐 도텀도니디
And so also in terms of there was the piece I was missing before. So in order to achieve the welfare, so in seeing that our own difficulties can be got rid of and cut away by seeing things in the correct way, we can also seek to achieve the welfare of the sentient beings, and like the bodhisattvas who wish to achieve the welfare of the sentient beings. So we see things in the correct way, in the way that they don't exist from their own side, and we can and seeing them to not exist from their own side, and like a dream, gives us a kind of relief. The seeing the way things are gives us a kind of relief and ability to avoid all of these complications, and therefore this is what we can talk about as the Buddha's lineage, or the when we call it the Deshishepi Nimba, the kind of lineage or Buddha nature almost, is the kind of qualities or seeds of the qualities of the Buddha. So the dream example is used. We have to. It's okay to talk about the dream example and in relation to the bodhisattvas, but we have to take the final hope is. What we have to do is we have to look at for ourselves where the final hope rests in, and how the things that are difficult and complicated in our lives. If we don't just think about those things which are external to us and trying to sort of solve each and every complicated problem and difficulty that arises in our lives, but so we always have to be looking inside of ourselves to see where the most difficult things lie. And when we come into relationship with other sentient beings, I think what really we can see how that we often make, through our grasping, we make out of small problems, we make them huge. And this is actually comes down in the end, especially when we're around others, this comes down to a strong underlying grasping at the self. So whether in the 84,000 categories of scripture attributed to the Buddha, whether in the Hini, in the hearer, in the Theravada kind of vehicle of the hearers and the solitary realized, whatever words are spoken in these great scriptures, they all come down to the point of understanding, in order to protect ourselves, understanding and seeing the selflessness of ourselves and phenomena. And this is something which helps with our own happiness, and is also something which we so what we need to do is to find a way to relax, to let go, to let loose, not to let go of and reduce this self-grasping. And of course, at the extreme limit of that, to completely remove it. That, of course, is the best. And this is the point at which we should make the greatest effort. And this is the thing that brings our own happiness, and also enables us to help in and helping others to develop and enjoy their own happiness. And so we shouldn't just think of this as something, the kind of bodhisattva's business, as something that the bodhisattva does, and it's something that we have to relate to ourselves, and then look at the way in which we should be also engaging in these ways. So this sense of really trying to work on the reduction and finally the complete removal of self-grasping.
진짜게 곰지잡야 진짜게 토알이야 삼도당야 퇴삼체야 진짜지 중보이나 아니 아란주게 미시지 아니 지게 까니 마트버 쇼스 지지 몰람 잡대발래 엉고 까니 티그리 유단 겐일데 까니 연구요리 띵가 저기 지게 매버서 투에서 개요 말했대 이나야 까니를 채우는데 선배 들려야 님부된 당기 탑시에 망부주 요래대 이나 탑시에 나 연나면나 쇼도 교바대 아니 지기 셈기 다길 마셔봐 다도 먼저 지지 셈버 부수도 마셔지 셈버 회양부 전에 샤토베 중배이나 다 딜랑을 주고 단다 시와 세티 저장가 시보다 시와세도 좀 시와세도 좀셈 별로 치샤이다 다티베 야게레나 샨티 샨티니 시고르바 답배가 좀 남기 고음다 잡들 좀 상황로 샨티 샨티 시고르바 어떤 때문에 다니 셈기다 시와 셈 시와 내버다 다티레도 봐 되네 그냥 디송샤
and so when we're talking about meditation and also connected with that, of course, as the practices of listening or hearing the teachings and then contemplating the content of the teachings. And in this life, there are many complications and difficulties, but it's not that effective to sort of be praying that may all are difficult. It's not very effective or has any guarantee that just praying for those difficulties to cease will have any effect. The difficulties stem from their own causes and conditions, and it's very difficult to get rid of each one. And it's also, even though there are prescribed methods for dealing with each particular form of even in the Buddhist literature, the form of text in the text to get rid of methods to get rid of each of these kind of difficulties that arise. But the main one, the most supreme of all of them, is really this getting away from a strong sense of self-identity and the kind of grasping at the self, to have a way of allowing ourselves to relax that sense of self, to have a relaxed and kind of a more relaxed sense of self. So when we talk about the samsara and peace, which is often talking about nirvana, the samsaric world compared with the nirvanic world, actually we can also just talk about this peace in some context, like when we like to remain in peace, as being a kind of a relaxed mind. When in meditation we often talk, in the Indian language they talk about shanti shanti, but like in our meditation and our daily lives, having a relaxed sense of self and a relaxed mind in relation to our self-identity.
세미나로야 당당한 주 심제 탐지기 되게 상기긴 슬라바디 몰람 점시에 고 세미나로를 영화트 받지 고지 영화 스튜디오 잠베 야 지게 거소래 람 톰불리아 레비 계점면차 고조 지게 어디지 주용 초설다 디 시브지르샤세 삼로된 것을 레토요 말봐 대인도 잠베 당당한 주는 상기기 고방 토벌쇼 심쟁기 된 아니 배 지기 가서래 지기 쩨메지 간에 아니 비게 된 체다서 별은 배상보르데 몰람 개번하신 수수기 셈나로리아 초와지 제마트도 잠베 아니 대가 저 단다 전주 심기 전주 심계단 니송보나시 면심단 죽심세데 나노 면심 지구소를 하더라도 아니 디케체 심슈 디케체 anga lega chigi se tsawni ne ngazu lig mare de le du sampe ngaranjo semba sangpo tanda de chigya ba chila de jene ma chiro do sadu rangja cha ba otin na shin du sampe inji minji de nyongwa je ba chi inji minji so to ba chu sere.
And so what we also, so one very important point is that in terms of cultivating, this peace of mind, but also we also talk about, we make prayers, we make a sort of aspirational prayers that may we be able to fulfill the welfare and the aims, the needs of all sentient beings, and maybe become a Buddha in order to do this. But in some sense, these are a kind of mere words in the sense that we need to have some way of sort of bringing that into a kind of practical life experience. Now, I'm not talking about, cultivating the very high refined states of experience on the path, but some sense in which we need some sense in which we feel that achieving those kind of things could actually is possible, that they could arise, so that the idea of helping, being able to help all, the welfare and aims of all sentient beings and becoming the Buddha. But we so we need some way to connect our own minds with, we need some feeling to be able to connect this experience with our own minds, and some feeling needs to kind of arise in that. When we talk about the two kinds of bodhicitta, there's the aspirational bodhicitta, and there is the bodhicitta of actual engagement in the bodhisattva's deeds. But we don't really, so we can maybe talk about, we maybe to some extent generate that aspirational side, but we need to sort of draw that into the actual experience and be able to get the strength to really engage in these deeds, in this path of the bodhisattva and the deeds which wishes to help for the welfare of all beings and attain enlightenment. So there has to be some way of connecting it to our experience, otherwise it becomes like mere words.
For an example, is there any person who will love to raise their hand to say when they do recitation or meditate on Heart Sutra, and that really helps you to make your meditation stronger, or this kind of antidote really helped you? Can you, anybody raise a hand? Just maybe small hand, not, you don't need to go like this. If they're small, then you're so good, then you just can do like this. So I will raise my hand a little bit, not that much, just up to here. We need this, because why we recite Heart Sutra, I think it's kind of like a Buddhist Bible. And if you look at it, you can find so many wonderful things in there. First of all, the fully enlightened one will not speak until the end, and he will just look and hear and feel what his students are doing. But his students are so kind of active, and then they discuss. It's kind of a discussion group, like the Shariputra is being asked by, is making kind of a dialogue and giving some question to Avalokiteshvara. And then they are just saying like this is it. Then there's some kind of like doubt, and is it something like this or not? What just this great Cherisik, the Avalokiteshvara said something like this. So at the last kind of doubt, is this something could be like this? And that end of this, the Buddha awakes from his meditation and then says, well said, well said. That's it. How simple is this? And the most important is, do we have this Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra inside us? Do we have these two characters within us? So, and it's not about only just learning what they're saying, but you have to feel it. And then how the best, what I said, like this way of antidote is designed to use this in order to reduce our suffering, and especially the grasping we have. And now here, this is a big time to accept we have the grasping. But if somebody outside say you have so much grasping, then you take it too personal. Like why he is complaining, why he is saying so bad thing about me. But when you are alone, check your mind. Well, do you have this grasping? Some people say, maybe not. And here we have to see that while having this grasping, how much it really takes your energy out. So then I think it will be one of the best answer to say why I'm practicing this called emptiness, why I choose this path is it really helps me to bring down my self-grasping. And this is the one best answer that why you do this emptiness practice, or you choose this path. Very solid reason. Why I'm saying this, Nagarjuna's, there's a call, Jigdenle Deba.
Praise for the supramundane.
In
Hallel le Mashem Evil.
In there, his praising to the Lord Buddha is so good. He says, I think it dissolved into my emptiness. He said, it's something like this, saying, why I choose Buddha's path, it's not by my attachment. And why I the to abandon the other religion, not by the aversion or
not by I do not abandon or discard other religions on account of aversion or hatred.
Why I choose the Buddha's teaching is it really helps me to reduce my grasping. That's a really good one. This is what we need to follow. And then it's so safe. And then we can say, I have chosen my religion not by attachment. And it works so perfectly because I always say to my friends, like, what is the proof of Buddha does not have attachment towards his teaching? He didn't just think about like, I want to be great. I want many followers. And there I need to, for that I need to make this special teaching called Four Noble Truths. And I give to them and they will be super happy and I get the name of the fully awakened one. Not that. He checked on himself and then he felt like this is the best way to help myself, help others. That's it. How simple is that? Same. It works same with us. So we should follow this kind of path. I'm saying this because I come from the background which is 100% it's all Buddhist. But then I felt like I was so fortunate to reborn in this place and so on, so on. But sometimes I feel like they do have so much attachment to their own religion, which is Buddhist. And Buddha's teaching is not designed like this. So it's really hard to get out of that. If somebody says bad to Buddha, if somebody says bad to His Holiness, and the aversion comes out, that's the answer. Like they say like bad things to others. And they will never say, I feel pity, I feel compassionate towards them. Because they are saying through their ignorance mind, they didn't see the whole picture. It's never there. But if you are really a good practitioner and you have chosen your religion not by the attachment towards your religion, then you will have this answer. If somebody says, okay, and you will look at the person, if he's willing to know something and he has a doubt, and then you will give him this right answer. This is not the way. This is the right way. This is what I experienced. So you can say this. If not, that person is not ready, but he just is so biased, and then he just wanted to say like, this is the opportunity, now argue. This is the right time to destroy. And then even answering to him, it will bring more pain or suffering. So just smile or just ignore it. So I feel this floor which I have today, and people, wonderful people, you are here. So I just wanted to share this. We should be recheck our mind, refresh your mind, whether you are biased or not, I am biased or not. Am I choosing this religion or this school? Even if I say, I can say this proudly, I'm born in the family who holds Kagyu tradition. And my father and mother are Kagyu. And my parents and all of his sons, most of his sons are actually, we are 8 brothers, and 2 sisters. So a kind of a large number, isn't it? So my father sent everybody, like most of everybody, to the monasteries, Nanare. And then all they went into Giluk tradition, because they felt like they will study the Buddhism very well. And I'm recognized as one of the reincarnation of one Rinpoche. And then I came with kind of pride, like I'm a Gelugpa. And my parents, like, they are humble, simple, yeah, we do Kagyu lineage, but we don't know I'm a real Kagyu or not. But there I go, just like I am a Gelugpa, I'm the important one. So time to time I meet this simple, humble family of mine, and then I learned a lot from them actually. And then slowly, when I studied with the wonderful teachers, and then if you really wanted to learn all the tradition, And here I'm not talking about the Tibetan the Buddhist schools. I'm talking here about the four tenets. In order to understand that, person need to study if he wants to study about mind-only school, that if he listens the teaching like, I am a Prasankika believer, Prasankika view believer, and I will study the way of the Chitta Mantra school, he listens from the way have so much kind of clinging towards Prasankika. He will get nothing. But he needs to understand. In order to understand, he has to listen like an empty vessel, the clean empty vessel. Then he will fit everything in there. So this is why Buddha said, in order to bring the full benefit to other people's, according to their mind, I give the four schools. But to be honest, maybe don't separate this, don't make me viral. Show the clips to the Tibetans. I maybe not be welcome back to India. So most of the Tibetans, Buddhist followers, are Maya, and they all are Prasankika school. It's very rare to find a master who says, "Oh, I believe totally in a Chitta Mantra school." At the time of Buddha, oh, there it is. Now we don't have any more. Where are these all species went? Instinct. So it is because, I think, due to the attachment towards their own school. So it's really necessary for all of us, yet we are not fully contaminated. Right? So whether we say contaminated or not, we have to always check whether we have attachment towards our religion, or I accept this or that religion because it is truly helping me to reduce my grasping. 다 딤다. 답변은 전주 선배지를 차샤비나. 아니 제장가 다 도스 디간라 도스라메야고요. 전주 선배기 릭세데 송차와. 다 전주 선배 릭세데 지단의 릭세데 사변을 거봤다. 아니 지기 양 디기 규바 짐버들 거야. 뭐 용거 봐. 다 단다 디나로네 키 치슈데 릭니에세데 아니 자왕 사변 누버디니에버들 거나야고요. 저래 다 전주 선배기 누버세야데 또 아니 동반이 통제 덴바 무슨 덴바 통제 덴바 통한테를 때니 아니 동에 라리 깨워매봐 지 서버 잠시 마임바 아니 디 단다디 도직 나로 된지 주선 그래 제상가 아니 동반이기 된디 얘기 가수술로 뼈타고 치버 대수기 애니 신 심전 간대지 마음발로 토부이나요 텔람 대지마 지신이 된 토바지 영원 유지 세기 삼로 뒤에베 토네 아니 퇴섬 공숨 제야데 전주선이 저거레스 데 인도 잠베 남자준도 아주 단다 아니 곰림 나로야 아니 전주선배기 아니 가서래 청와 전주 선발의 청와니 송치 아니 전주 셈벌 칭원이 요레스 년도다 란게 줄 칭원지 그레스 다 칭원 가르레스도 잠베 아니 시월이야 가서 시벌 칭원이나 칭원인 버디 참 싱그리 이내 시월의 칭야 요래 좀 된대 다 시월의 칭원스도 가르치고 왔을 잠베 아니 라니 지고 아니 고갈 탄다 다가랑 딕송 섬제 엔 침내 대체 아니 신심전을 카운트도라고 다체 아니 제마도나 다들 탑시에 양 조치야다 아니 셈된 셰야로 소바다 아니 라라양 아니 지기 셈바이 셈양의 양도 깨야로 소고도 매자 안디 전주 셈비기 칭화를 저거 좀 되지 디송을 대인도 당 아란수 드링기 디스커션도 조 전주 셈지고를 인상 안 드링 아란수데 밀럼기 땀기 아니 지글에 퇴바다 삼바다 권바 어디서 지야 되다 탐지 않고 뒤에 전주 셈벌에 아니 저저디마 때나는데 좀 된데 도스차들도 선배 아란소야 강신비기 칙춘주지 칙뉴뉴지 마도 맞춘 거 대양 마음발이야 심지어 칸데 질려야 편도 용바이네 딜용 줄줄이 쳐도 아니 가지고 퇴섬치기 슬람나 아니 단기 여기라기 네 산지 초점만 손도 잠배 아니 다기 진소기에 초남기 세야 돼 되나 딱딱 자동된 루도가 아니 돌아편지 산지 루버쇼 다디 용외 탑을 쳐도 아니 땅 퇴섬 건설 치기 세도 잠배 아니 면심다 주심 네가 상대 시차로 레스 어디 줘요
And so here is sort of if we were to take a particular take a bodhisattva as we're discussing in relation to the first verse, where it actually says that in Tibetan it says Tsenshab Namle Rikne Des. So Rik here means the kind of often means like the lineage or the family, and so it can also have a meaning that the bodhisattvas obtaining or accomplishing the lineage, or the family, the lineage of the bodhisattva or the family of the bodhisattva. And as I mentioned before, that could have sometimes has a connotation of holding this kind of lineage, or it can have a connotation of a sort of seed, the seed of the lineage of the seed of the bodhisattvas and the Buddha, the path to Buddhahood. So here, perhaps the main way to think about it is in terms of a seed that allows us to then engage and develop the path to Buddhahood, or perhaps a hope. Another way to think of that is a kind of hope or a seed which allows us to then become part of the lineage of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And so, but how to so this also has to be conjoined with an understanding of the nature of the truth, an understanding of the nature of reality, and therefore the need to be able to see emptiness, and then at some point to be able to see the nature of reality and emptiness directly, but not just in order to if we have this seed or we follow this kind of hope or seed towards the path of the Buddhas, not just for getting rid of for putting a complete end to our suffering. It's in one of the sutras, it talks about how the meaning of emptiness is some way the meaning of emptiness is to understand that we almost have this kind of, not the meaning of emptiness, but the purpose of emptiness, that for each sentient being that we meet, that we hope that our hearing of the teachings, our contemplation of the teachings, and our meditation on the teachings will allow us to, in the future, developing those qualities will then allow us to be able to, for every sentient being we meet, to help us to be able to change ourselves and then help the other sentient beings to be able to change themselves and engage in the path of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And in the stages of Kamalashila stages of meditation, it talks about two kind of fetters or bondages, two kind of fetters for the bodhisattva, which prevent them from proceeding on the path. And then there's also mentions the fetters which the hearers and solitary realizers face, which is they have only one kind of fetter or to face, which is not falling into the world of the samsaric world. But out of the two, of the samsaric world and the world of what we call peace, the solitary peace, for the bodhisattvas, this is also a fetter. This is also a binding them and preventing them from proceeding on their path. And for the bodhisattvas, that would be the thought of thinking only for one's own solitary peace, for thinking of maybe having that sense in which we're prepared to help other sentient beings. It's not the complete selfishness, but this sense in which we're willing to help each other sentient beings to a certain extent, but not having that wish where really that all other sentient beings are able to achieve the ultimate state. And so we have to, when talking about this text, the dream tale, the tale of dreamlike tale, whatever hearing and contemplating and meditation we do in relation to this text, therefore we should really feel that this will we will be able to develop these understandings and qualities within ourselves, and therefore what other then able to pass that on to that experience and understanding, be able to pass that on to other sentient beings, and that they will be able to then change the course of their mental continuum. And so as Yaki sort of recited the verse of kind of Mahayana refuge, and also which contains the Mahayana refuge and contains the thought of enlightenment, the thought of the awakening mind. So that this then, if we take if we sort of dedicate all of our hearing, contemplation, and meditation for the ultimate welfare of others, then we avoid that fetter of falling into the sphere of solitary peace. And when we talks about dedicating all the generosity for that may I attain enlightenment for the welfare of all sentient beings, so that in that prayer, then this meaning completely, our engagement with this text and the meaning of it will completely connect with that, and therefore we have the two bodhicittas, the aspiring and the engaging bodhicitta.
Maybe 9 minutes later, we will have a break. Before that, I just wanted to say that as a practitioner, we really need to check the two antidotes. One is the ultimate truth, how that really helps you to reduce your grasping. And then the second antidote is the conventional truth, how that really helps you to actually reduce our self-cherishing. In order to answer that, maybe for a moment we need to stop listening to all the things on there's too much information on that. But sometimes you need to take yourself a time and reflect on the mind how that self-grasping is a problem to you. And then if you could spend quite a time with that, you don't need to go through the Buddha's texts or Nagarjuna or study, but in the past, whatever kind of problem it has occurred in your life, it is kind of necessary for you to go back with this kind of a strength, a power. You just need to, because you need to learn from the mistake. That's what we say. We need to learn from the mistake. And that's how sometimes how we say overcome the problem. So then you need to, when you see, oh, not only it comes from my enemy or my family or my friends or so on, but I can definitely say this is something, those problems also start with way of my mistaken mind too. More you have a clarity or more you have faith into this kind of a way of thinking, then we can say the first truth. The Four Noble Truth, the first truth. When Buddha said, know the suffering, this is what that is about. Otherwise, just seeing a news, turning on the TV and see a suffering, everybody go, oh, suffering. But that is not the thing that what Buddha is trying to say here. He says, how can you connect all this suffering that has been to you and what's happening in this world? Can you make a link to the grasping, to my grasping, to others' grasping? And then automatically you wanted to know more about that. Then Buddha said the second truth, which is called cause of the suffering. So that's the next level. So then in order to know the cause of the suffering, and then a little bit study is needed, a little bit of discussion is needed, the kind teacher is needed in there to help you. So now these days I'm trying to research on how does the self-cherishing takes away my kind of a practice. And then ignoring other people's suffering, how does that makes such a big contribution to the self-cherishing of mine, and then becomes the obstacle to become the fully enlightened. That is, I'm trying to recognize it. Sometimes it's really helpful. So for recently, I'm thinking like the happiness, I do sort of things to make myself happy. That's everybody is doing, not only me. But then happiness, one kind of happiness is if you make others happy, and then their joy, Buddha said, and the great master is always saying, that can bring more kind of joy, like maybe like 10, 100 times more than your own happiness, if seeing their smile. Pretty difficult to understand, but if you check with the one deering Silve, deering mother, and when she sees her suffering and her child's suffering, and she has more kind of a worry when her dear children suffers more. This is beautiful. That's something that Nagarjuna is trying to present something like this in the coming verses. And then I'm actually not yet ready to think all the sentient beings once become a mother and father, and it's too much kind of for me. But I'm curious about where does this kind of a special happiness, if this kind of thing, it makes me very happy and making other people very happy, if it is multiplied or it has more kind of energy than what I have the happiness, I wanted to have this kind of happiness. I'm on this kind of research, and I'm finding some clues Yet I'm stopped by my self-cherishing mind, not getting 100% answer from that, but I can sense and feel sometime. Okay, so now we take a break, and then when we come back, then we will go to the following verses. Okay, I think we take a 15-minute break. It's good? It's good? Okay. Okay.